What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Sorry it's taken me so long to put a post up. I actually kind of fell out of it for a minute just because I lost my drive with some Subarus that I got, and they were extremely frustrating. So I decided to take it back a notch and go a different direction, kind of take it back to the reason I started this channel, specifically for dirt bikes and ATVs. So they're just a bunch of crap on the marketplace, and it's really difficult to find anything that's a decent deal that is worth the money these days. So since COVID, at least. So what I did is I finally found one, and let me show you what I got. So what we got was a 2014 Kawasaki KX 450X, or 450F, I'm sorry. And it is actually in pretty decent shape. Some indicators for wear are on the side cases. I don't really see any wear on the side cases. These are the original tires that came on it from the factory. So the tires have never been swapped out. There's no wear on that side of the case. And I bought it from a kid kind of within city limits, so I'm fairly certain that they just rode it as much as they could until they couldn't. He said his cousin went to prison, and that's whose bike it was, so he was selling it for him, whatever the case. Where I'm at, there's no titles, so I didn't have to deal with any of that. It does have the original rims on it, and it just looks like they rode it and just never really maintained it. They rode it until, I don't know, maybe it got a flat tire or until they got bored with it, and then probably dumped it a couple times on the street and didn't really ride it after that. Some indicators that tell me it was ridden on the street primarily is the fact that the front tire is pretty new and the back tire is roasted. That and the sprocket is pretty roasted too. So is the chain. I mean, that thing is completely roasted. They were probably trying to practice wheelies or whatever and broke the rear fender. So then they just duct taped the air box. They put a titanium F4.1 on there, which is a sick exhaust. I just take that puppy off and I'll polish it, and once it heats up, that titanium pipe will turn light blue. It'll be pretty sick. Not really any real signs. I mean, it's a little polished right here, but handlebars are bent. Handlebars aren't actually bent. It's the mount here that's bent. Grips are all worn out. And I do need to do a valve clearance check on it because it does tick a little bit. But for the most part, the engine area is pretty clean. There's a little valve seepage. But yeah, engine's really clean. Need to get the case saver back on there and clean it up a little bit. Get a new rear tire for it, and I got a rear fender in the mail. It should be here in a couple days. I'm going to start actually with taking the graphics off of it and diagnosing whether or not I need to replace the plastics. But as you can see, I mean, the front fender is, if there was dirt or anything that ever really got in there, that would be pretty worn. It's clean inside the fenders too. There's no real signs of actual motocross riding. So I'm fairly certain this was just kind of like a street princess, and they were trying to act like they were in the Wheels Up Club and piss off the people in the suburbs. But yeah, let's get to tearing this thing apart. See if we can't clean it up a little bit and bring it back to life. It runs really good, but we're going to service it, change the oil, clean the filter, put tires on it, new chain, new sprocket kit. I have some grips that I'll put on it. And then we're going to take those graphics off. Maybe get some cheap graphics in a gripper seat cover and clean it up a little bit. So let's get to work. On that one was pull the bushings out. I thought one of the posts was bent on the mount, but the bushing was sitting in there crooked. So I pulled the bushings out, moved the handlebars forward because I have a little longer arms, I like a longer reach, and then reseated them, flipped the washers so they weren't bent, and then put it back on, and now they're straight. Neither of them fit. Sweet. Easy fix. All right, so we got the bike stripped down a little bit. All the plastics are off. We noticed that the fork seals were blown, so we'll have to rebuild the fork seals. Got the stickers off the frame. Now we're gonna pull it outside and set up the pressure washer and degrease and pressure wash this puppy, especially in the air box. It's pretty nasty. So wipe that off. Looks all right. Put the handlebars back on it temporarily just so we can move it around easier. And then cleaned up the plastics. Got the new rear fender. That was a pretty quick ship. We got some blue hand grips that were just in our box of bike parts. And then the plastics actually cleaned up pretty good. So we'll be able to reuse those. That's definitely a pretty good savings, couple $100. That front one looks almost brand new. So that's a plus. So let's go ahead and get that pressure washer set up and clean this frame off. overall, guys, I think it turned out pretty clean. Wheels look really good. Hey. Plastics turned out good. Airbox cleaned up. Pipe is good. Just got to take it off and polish it right here.
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, that's cool. Now for some new parts.
Yeah.
Okay, now that I got the bike inside and cleaned up, I went ahead and removed the sprocket, left the chain on, hit this with an impact, and there is a washer that is around it, and some may think that it's a spring washer, but one side is bent, and it sits on like that, and you have to pound out the corner in order to loosen the drive nut to get it off. And it's pretty clear that this sprocket was in dire need of replacement. Pretty sure this is the sprocket that's been on it since it came out of the factory. So that's garbage. Obviously, there's a freaking tooth missing. Then if you look at the rear sprocket, all of the teeth are just worn completely down and angled in the direction of drive. There's chips on the sprocket. That one's missing the tip of the tooth. So those are all worn down. So we'll be replacing that as well. I did manage to get the graphics off the side here, and all of the adhesive came off of the vinyl, so I had to scrape the adhesive off and then hit it with some carb cleaner, and it came out pretty clean. So we'll clean up that area around the sprocket, and then it's going to be a little bit of a delay on this just because of funding for parts. But we've got chain and sprocket kit, some handlebars, a fork seal kit, new air filter, cleaned out the air filter box real good. And I have a tire over there that came off an old bike whenever I was racing. And if you're racing, that's probably not gonna do, but this is just a recreational extra bike, and I'll probably end up just selling it. So I'm just gonna use that old Starcross, put that on there. It's a lot better than what's on the back, and we'll leave the one on the front, which is okay. No knobs missing or anything. It's still got quite a bit of life left in it. So yeah, this is as far as we've got in this video. I think we're gonna stop it there, but made some significant progress with cleaning up the bike. We'll polish out that sticker haze on the frame. We'll polish it from here up, and then just do a little wet sand on the rest of it, just to brighten up that aluminum a little bit more. Honestly, it's just a bike that never got serviced, and I'm a little bit scared to drain the oil, but I think in the next video we'll drain the oil out of it. Hopefully we'll have a few parts that we can start putting it back together. I'd like to pull the tank off of it and the valve cover and see where the valves are sitting. Maybe do a shim just to tighten it up a little bit. But yeah, I think it's going to clean up really nice. All right, guys, that's a wrap for this video. Thanks for watching, and made some pretty good progress on the bike this time. So if you want to see where this bike goes, then like, subscribe, get your notifications, tell your friends, and we'll see you in the next KX450 video. Thanks for watching. Peace.